Right, greetings everyone. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail. And for the first time in a while, you're not going to be seeing my face because instead I'm going to be painting miniatures today. Uh, we don't have a workshop or anything else, so I'm literally doing it here at my desk. Um, so the way this is going to work is I've literally just moved my webcam down. It's just tilted down. So its normal position, it's pointed at me and the map and everything else behind me. And today I just literally angled the camera down. And I've got a little bit of space here set up. So for now, this is what it's going to look like. I could pan the camera up a little bit more. We'll see. But um, you don't need to see me for these. And I'll probably get rid of this extra stuff as we get deeper into this, but I figured what the hell, it's the first time I'm doing a stream like this. I wanted it to look somewhat interesting, somewhat fancy. Um, so we would make it so, make it accordingly. Um, I have not painted miniatures in about 3 years, maybe actually a little bit closer to 4. I think the last time we did so was in 2017 when we did that really big tabletop build that everyone who followed us over from the Saga of Lucemia might remember, when we did the big boards, like the 3 boards, and we did a bunch of hand painted miniatures and the wood barn map and a bunch of other stuff. So I have not painted in a long time, and I actually don't have. This is just to show you that I'm not a professional miniature painter. This is just something I'm doing for my own personal enjoyment. These miniatures will, of course, eventually go up in the Etsy store. Some of these we're actually giving away, and we're not painting these yet, but this one in particular, we're giving away at 50 subscribers here on Twitch. This one we're giving at 100 subscribers, and this one we're giving away at 200 subscribers. And those are all tied into, those are official D&D miniatures, and those are tied into the, D&D Twitch streams that we're doing on Sunday nights here on our Weave and Void Twitch channel, at 9 p.m. Central. Now, these miniatures, we've got a whole bunch. We've got like 120 plus miniatures that we're going to be painting throughout the course of 2022, and these are all for our Weave and Void tabletop campaign setting, just to go along with people who like miniatures and want miniatures when they play D&D and tabletop. So since we're doing an official 5th edition, not official, excuse me, we're doing a 5th edition compatible um, game. We like miniatures when we play, and of course we're all playing remotely right now, but what the hell, we're going to paint miniatures anyway. Get them up on sale for the Etsy store for you guys. I'm going to be painting some miniatures, Christina's going to be painting some miniatures, and my brother's going to be painting some miniatures as well. So you're going to see all 3 of us at some point on the stream doing miniatures. I'm kicking this off. I will be painting here every Tuesday from 5 p.m. Central onwards, roughly 5 to 7, somewhere in that time bracket, um, every Tuesday night. So make sure you set your schedules, set your clocks, and join in. And I was saying in my TikTok video, Chris and I, this is actually Chris. Chris finally found a use for we've had these like wooden chopsticks sitting around forever, and we collect all of our wine corks. So Chris actually took a pair of chopsticks and broke them in half and made 2 different sets. So as you can see here, we've got 2 different. You might not be able to see great here, but we've got 2 different wizards basically. We've got a faceless wizard, which is this guy right here. I don't know if the webcam's going to focus that well because I've got focus turned off. But we've got this guy who's a faceless wizard, and then this guy, which is a skeletal wizard. And I'm going to be working on the skeletal wizard, and Chris is going to be working on this other guy. Now, I don't think she's going to be working on this today during the stream, but this is going to be something she works on in her own time. We're going to be sharing her progress on this miniature right here. We're going to be sharing the progress for that over on the TikTok channel in snippet videos. So if you want to watch Christina's progress on her miniature, make sure that you go over to the TikTok channel for Weave in the Void and subscribe there. Links are all here on the page here on Twitch. And for those of you who are following along on YouTube, don't forget you can check the description text down below and you can find all the relevant links there. So we're going to set hers to the side and we're going to focus only on mine today. Now, the other thing here, because I have not gone out and bought a bunch of, I'm going to use air quotes, professional miniature paints. I have found over the years that acrylic paints generally work just fine. And we actually have a whole bunch of just leftovers that Chris hasn't used in a while from all of her watercolors and acrylic paints and stuff. All the concept art that she was doing, if you remember, before she got a digital tablet for the Weave and the Void, these were the paints that she has from all that stuff. So we just said, you know what, we're going to use those paints for now, just to show people that, hey, you can use any paints that you want. Sort of acrylic based paints. And there's different craft paints. Everybody has opinions about which ones are the best. But really, any good paint will do, I've found over the years. Now we are using, we have a variety of miniatures. These in particular we got, and I'm going to have to look it up because I don't remember the name of the guy we got them from, but we bought a bunch of 3D printed miniatures. So these are actual 3D printed miniatures that we got from someone. These are official D&D ones. We've also got some additional Dungeons and Dragons miniatures and a whole selection of different 3D printed ones. Now, I have already primed these two. If you watched the video earlier today, and you'll see the gray paint on the wine cork. I would have loved black primer, but I could not find black primer. I went to 6 different paint stores. Chris did too, and we were told that nobody manufactures black primer here in Mexico. So we just ended up going with gray on top of the existing gray of these, and we're going to be getting started with that. Now, I don't know. I'm probably going to do his cloak first. Sorry, I'm just looking at the miniature here. I gotta remember to lean in so that you all can see on the camera. I think I'm going to be doing his cloak first because it is what makes up the most of his outfit. He's got a clasp here in the front. The nice thing about this being a skeleton is I don't have to worry about doing anything crazy with pupils, but I will have black eye sockets and a black opening for the mouth. He's got some boots on. Looks like he's got a bit of an under jacket here, but he's got his ribs showing through in the opening of the chest right here. So I think what we're gonna do is I'm just showing you here a little bit better. So yeah, we've got that, legs, boots. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, these are just stuck on here with hot glue. So when we're done, we just take a razor knife and cut that off, and they'll be fine. All right, so we're gonna do the cloak first. Now I don't know what I want the cloak to be. We've got a nice red here, crimson red, and I may mix this with a black to get a little bit of a darker red. And I think that's what I might start off with. So let's go ahead and do that here first. We're going to go ahead and use this brush to get started. And I've got, you can't see, but I've got a bowl of water over here on the side, and I've got plenty of napkins, paper towels for stuff. I don't know that I'll be doing any dry brushing today. We'll see. Again, I haven't painted miniatures in a while, so it's going to come back to me slowly. And I'm not a professional miniature painter, so it's going to be done in a different way than other people might do theirs. But I am going to, first and foremost, mix up a little bit of this red here. And again, I want to darken it down just a tad. Oops, that's the white, not the black. Where's the black at? Right here. Here's the black. It had black on the label, so I was thinking it was a black, but it's actually a... and I don't want a whole lot of the black, so I'm just going to kind of scoop it out of there and start to mix it like so. Now for me, it doesn't have to be perfect because this is sort of just like a base coat. But we're going to just start in here and just start bringing this down like so. And if I don't talk a lot during this, I totally apologize. Once I start painting, I'm going to get sidetracked and I might not be as communicative as I might otherwise be. And that's looking pretty good so far. Get all in here in these nooks and crannies. I'm not going to worry too much about the base of the miniature yet because we'll be painting that later on. Get some nice even coating on there. Okay. And for now, this is the setup that I'm going with in terms of how I've got the camera set up and everything. I may change the setup later on. We'll see. I could tell you right now I'm going to want more light at some point. Uh, Getting in here with the crevices. And the nice thing about the staff being right there is that that will eventually be a brown color, which won't be hard to do any overpainting on. Okay, we're coming up into the that's going to be a different color because it's the undercoat here. That's not too bad. Got a little bit of undercoating there. I may have to switch to a smaller brush here in a second to get some of these. Closer areas. I'm sure some people are like, why don't you airbrush? You know, I have never gotten into airbrushing. I have always hand painted miniatures, all the way back from the time that we were doing like hand painted pewter. Let's see if I can get the brush in here to get the helmet. It's not a helmet, sorry, it's a hood. It's a nice rich red here. I really like the way that looks. Now we're obviously going to add some mud and some texture to this cloak as we get deeper in, but I like how this turned out. Speaking of which, I might actually, here in a moment, I might actually turn the that light around so I can see a little bit better. All right. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush here because I need to be able to get in here and do some of the detail work on this guy. And when I say detail work, it's mostly just related to getting some of these little inner details on the hood. This is when it sucks having a beard. You're going to see my beard poking down in the stream now, everybody. You know, we might actually have the inside of his cloak back there be a different color. Might have it just be jet black, actually. I kind of like that idea. I think we've got... There's some crevices in here I'm trying to get. Well, I think overall, pretty happy with that as a base coat. Now, what I'm probably going to do here is as that dries a little bit, go ahead and get our brushes a little bit cleaned as we prepare for the next stage. So I want to do a little bit of some coloring here, some shading. Again, it's been a while since I've done anything, so all right. I actually think what I want to do is I want to take some of this red. I don't need a lot of it. Actually, what I want to do is I want to very lightly, so we're going to get a little bit on the brush. It's not quite a dry brush, but also we don't want it entirely wet. And we're just going to very lightly kind of do some highlights. On some of these raised bits like this. Which will give it. Hey, Chris, what's up? So get these little raised bits here. Which will help add a little bit of you probably can't see it that much here. You can right there. That angle's pretty good right there. You can see a little bit of the extra red, which will bring out a little bit of life in that cloak. And then I kind of want to do some mud. So I've got some like green and some burnt ember here. So we're going to play around with that a little bit. Till I can get like a muddy color that I want, that I like. And then we're going to use that to sort of start to tatter the boots a little bit. Not the boots, sorry, although we might want to do some on the boots too, but we'll get to the boots a little bit later. In the meantime, that cloak's looking pretty good. We'll probably do some more stuff to it in a little bit, but for now, I wonder if I ought to do, before I do the cloak, I wonder if I ought to do the staff and the boots. How brown is this brown? Because it's pretty brown. Might be a little too brown. Let's get a little bit of white here. Got titanium white. Oh, doesn't look like the light's been used in a while. Gotta get that out of there. Let's see if I can make this the way I want it. I still feel like I might want a little bit more white, so. I probably should use a spatula for mixing, which I don't. I didn't think about that. I know we have one, but I haven't. I didn't think to get that out. So this is probably the wrong brush, FYI. Probably gonna switch this brush out in a second. Get all the residue off of it first. Did not like that brush. Let's go back to our. Add just a teeny bit of moisture to that. I'm not really happy with this color. I think I want to add some more darkness to it, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and finish. what we've got here for the moment. Let's go ahead and brown that back up a little bit. That's a little better. Okay, I kind of like having the that undercoat there. Got a little bit on the cloak, which is not a big deal. We'll do touch up later. Let's get on the inner side here. Best we can. I totally need to turn this light around. One second here as I do that. Oh, that's much better. Might be too bright for everybody on the stream. Let me adjust the stream quality. It started getting dark in the house as I was painting. So hopefully you can see that now. We're getting a nice little undercoating here. Definitely gonna have to put more red on that cloak because as it started to dry a little bit, it's faded in, and I want to bring out the highlights a little bit more. But that staff is looking about perfect in terms of color. Tiny little bit. Yep, like so. Okay, now hard part is going to be boots because they're tiny and they're in there. Okay, so that's one boot. And that other boot is a weird angle. So I'm just gonna have to like poke in there at it. And the black around the cloak will just go over it. That doesn't look too bad. And I like the fact that the staff is a different color. Okay. Let's go ahead and what else do we need that can be brown? Maybe the belt. So let's add a little bit of white back in here. Where did my white go? I'm totally doing this in an unorthodox manner. Let's see here. Now this is why a lot of people will like more crafter style paints for miniatures and stuff because raw acrylic can be really thick. But I actually find that I like working with thick paints, and you can always water it down if you want to do dry brushing. Now this will be the only part of this belt. Kind of looks like that belt goes over there on top of the. I'm gonna have to try to get in there. Kind of have that belt coming back into the corner there. I gotta move that around to the light so I can see a little bit better. It doesn't look too bad. Need a little more coating though. Okay, let's let him sit for a minute. I actually gotta unzip this sweater because I am dying of heat right now. What? What? Yes. Yes. Sorry guys, I'm adjusting the lighting here. It started getting dark outside, everybody, so I have to adjust the lighting at my desk as I continue to go along here. We'll figure this out long term. Okay. I'm pretty happy with all of those so far, so we're going to go ahead and clean our brushes, and we'll do another coat um, of red. We've actually got kind of in the middle of this crevice here. You can't see it on the stream. I'm going to go in here. Are you trying to record something, Chris? Okay. So, I want more red on that cloak. So let's get some more. Ooh, I do not need that much red. Go back in. So if you can see that, we're giving that a little bit more highlights. Now I want to start focusing on the mud. So we're actually going to take what we're going to do before. Hey, Chris, before you sit down, can I have a couple toothpicks? Palillos, por favor. And I don't like how that light's working. I'm going to have to readjust my whole desk setup. I apologize, everybody. This is the first time we're doing this, so there's some hiccups with the lighting and everything else because I haven't done this in forever. So, all right. That's looking pretty good. All right, I want this. I'm just gonna mix it in here. Thank you, Chris, for the. I don't like this green, but we're just gonna mess around with stuff here. What color is this? I actually don't mind this if I come in here. These paints haven't been used in a while, so get a little bit of cap there. Just kind of mashing this up to see if I can get something resembling a muddy Oh, that's looking perfect. All right, now I want to go in here, and this is going to be something that, where did that white come from? Oh, that looks great. So we're going to come in here, and I just kind of want to splotch his cloak. Get down in there in those crevices. And this does not need to be uniform or anything like that. It's just to add a little bit of dirt and grime to the bottom edges here. Excuse you, bless you, Chris. This guy's a skeleton. He doesn't care about cleanliness. Definitely need to get some on his boots. Bottom of his staff. Inside here on the I'm gonna have to do that on the I didn't do the black of the interior yet. Maybe get some a little higher up. A couple of splotches in here. Skellies don't care. Mud and grime. That looks pretty good. Actually, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. You can probably see that on the stream. Getting some dirt and grime added to it. All right, one moment here. I have got to take the sweater off. I'm hot. All right, let's see here. All right, so he's coming along rather nicely. I'm going to go ahead and do the interior of the cloak real quick, and hopefully I can get that and get it dried quick enough that we can get the before the mud dries, because then I can get the mud added to the interior of the cloak as well. I don't want to use that one. I'll probably use this small brush. I'm just dipping right in there at this point. And we'll probably paint the underside of this just black. Ah, damn, I got some black on the outside, which I didn't mean to. Do some touch up of the red on the outside here in a bit. I'm trying to get in here at this little corner. Tis a little tricky. I think I got it all. All right. All right. Now we've got inside of the cloak there. I think that's looking pretty good. I may have to braid my beard next time and keep the beard out of the paint. I may end up having some beard paint. Okay. Well, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Lost the lid there. Blow on that a little bit. Try to get that dry if I want to add the mud texture to the interior of the cloak. it's good enough for now. We have to make that just a tiny bit wet just to move that around a little bit. It's fine. Just want to get some splotching in there on the inside. Get some there as well. That looks pretty good. All right. I've officially sacrificed one napkin. On to the second napkin. Get him folded over and ready to go. All right. I don't know what I want to work on next. I don't want to do the... Oh, you know what I could have done is the interior of the... Yeah, I'm going to have to get some more black for that. This is tricky. Interior of the cloak. I think I want to do a little bit more here. I'm going to have to move the camera, aren't I? Because I keep wanting to work off the screen for everybody. Which we can totally do that, but you'll see more of my desk. Hang on, let me move the camera here. That might work. See a little bit more because I keep wanting to work back here, which is off the screen. So, all right, so I'm gonna do the skeleton part absolutely last. I kind of feel like I want to do. How blue is this? Oh, that's a very good blue. I'm gonna use that, I think. I think I like that. We're gonna try it anyway. For this mantling underneath his underneath the belt. Give it a little bit of color. That's awfully nice. we can show that even though he's a little ratty and a little dirty, once upon a time, he had a little bit of flair. All right. We could probably work on hang on, I'm getting sidetracked now. I got Discord messages coming in. All right. I don't know what I want to do for that belt buckle. Or the clasp for his cloak, for that matter. Decisions. Maybe I can go with like a gold flask. Flask? Why did I say flask? Um, like an ochre. Ha! I don't think this paint hasn't been used ever. Using old paints. There we go. Had to get that cap out of there. As we get deeper into this series, we're probably end up buying some new paints. I think that one might actually be shot. Yeah, this one's shot, Chris. This is basura. Es seco dentro. These are paints from 2017. Yeah. Esas las pinturas que mi mamá te compra. Esta tampoco nos sirve. Well, this is fun. I may be doing that in a different color. Because neither of those are working because I'm dealing with old paints. This is what I was telling everybody when we started the stream today, because it's an amateur stream. I'm not a professional painter, and we were just using stuff that we had around the house because I wanted to show people. Yeah, that's not gonna work. So I don't have any yellows, I guess. What do I have? We could just go with this green and try. When in doubt, experiment with other shiznizzles. Alright, we're going to try for this brooch. I may need to use a toothpick for this because it's... We could go with this. Bright green gemstone. I'm quickly learning my lighting is horrible. Alright, that's pretty close. What do I want to do for that other one, though? We could just go for like a... Give him a little bit of color. I wonder if I should just do like a iron for that clasp on the buckle, which means I need to make a bit of a gray. Where's the white here? Need more white. This is when I totally need a spatula. This is hilarious. Doing this with a toothpick. But again, goes to show you folks, you can paint miniatures in lots of different ways. Look at that. That came out a nice color of gray. Now the question is, can I paint that or do I need to use the toothpick? I'm gonna try to actually use a brush on that, but this is gonna be fun. Kind of thin that down just a little bit because I don't want it so thick. I'll probably have to do some touch up on this part. Um, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some touch up after this, it looks like. But that works. Now I think for now, I'm gonna just try to use just a plain old white for the moment for the bones. Don't know if that's gonna work or not, but we're gonna try it. It might be too white, but we're gonna attempt it and see what happens. Do we have that other? I do have the other set of brushes. They might be a little. Got one that's just a little smaller of a brush. Let's get the hands. I kind of like the way that looks actually over the gray undercoat. And I can definitely see that we're going to have to get some new paints because these are old paints. Some are really nice and others, like the white, is a little cranky. But it's still going to turn out cool. Take your time. All right, this is hard. I always hate doing fingers. Inner fingers here. And beard! Lots of beard hair. With my hand contorted at an impossible angle because I need light. Man, those legs are going to be a pain in the ass to get to. I really can't see. Hang on. I am going to have to adjust the light again. That's better. I can actually kind of see in there now. It doesn't look too bad. I think the white's going to work fine um, for his skin. However, just really touch and go. Have to do some touch up on the interior of the cloak there. All right, hard part here. Getting the face. Because I get some black on there too because of the interior of the hood. Totally, my beard is in the way. This is hilarious. That's not too bad. All right, well, I think we've approached a point where we have him roughly done, and we can begin to do touch up on the next session, which will also allow me to we get some new paints and stuff as we continue this. So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see because the lighting is horrific here. That's something I'll have to try to work on as we get deeper into this series. Um, Let me see if I can. I can't. Yeah, apologies, everybody. So we've got a red cloak. We started off with like a sort of a dark red with black on it, and mixed that black in together with it right there, and gave that the first pass. Then we came in and we did red highlights on top of the cloak. Did black on the interior of the cloak, hand here and everything else. Um, Mixed up a brown for the boots and the staff, and then we made it a little different and made a mud texture, which we have applied all the way um, around the bottom edges of his cloak, on his boots and everything else. We've got the white for the skeleton, a couple of um, different gems. I wanted to go with the yellow, but my yellows are toast apparently. So these are, like I said, the whole point of this session today was coming in here and showing people that you don't have to have professional paints, professional brushes, or anything like that. You can totally do this for fun with just, simple basic supplies. Oh, but unfortunately, because the paints we're using are old, my yellows were toast. Because I was gonna make that a yellow, like a gold brooch around his. If you see this, I'm gonna use the toothpick here. This brooch for his cloak. I was gonna make that yellow, but instead we went with a green. We went with a lighter green for the belt buckle, an iron around it. So it's coming out pretty nicely. Lots of touch up now. Um, I'll be doing touch up with a better brush than this one because this one um, is not a touch up brush. This was just a rough in brush. So once we get to the touch up stage, we'll be using different brushes to get everything finalized. Everything else. This is probably a good point to take a picture of my mess with the camera and get everything prepped. But I think that's looking pretty good for a rough pass. If you're following along with this, thanks so much for following along on Twitch, everybody. If you are watching this later on after the fact over on YouTube, also cool. If you're following on Twitch, don't forget to do all the prerequisite stuff now as we wind down the stream. Don't forget, we are giving away these 3 miniatures as part of our subscription raffle, which is tied into our D&D streams on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. here on Twitch. We've got a Rage Drake. These are official D&D miniatures. We got a Rage Drake that we're giving away at this cool guy right here at 50 subs. We're giving away this Otyug. I forget how to pronounce these guys at 100 subs, and we're giving away Chardalon, the Red Dragon, at 200 subs, and those will be hand painted. The winners of these get to choose how they want these miniatures painted. So that's going on here on Twitch. So if you're following along on Twitch, you're watching this even after the fact, don't forget that you can subscribe and get a chance to get in for the raffle on these. These streams for miniature painting are going to be happening, at least from my perspective, from my end. I'm going to be painting every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, and we're going to be doing an hour and a half to 2 hours. We did an hour and a half today. This is the first time I've painted miniatures since 2017, so I feel like this was a pretty good session today. You'll be able to get a better look at this when I get some photos shot and up on Discord, so don't forget to join our Discord. Links are here in Twitch. You'll find them down below, and if you're watching this in YouTube after the fact, you can also find the links down in the description text below. And if you are following along on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get updates for all the other content that I do. But here on Twitch, miniature painting every Tuesday at 5 p.m. from me, Tim Anderson, aka Renfell. My brother, Joey Anderson, aka Idrildor, will be painting later in the week. We're going to determine his schedule, I think, on Wednesday night, but he's either going to be painting on Thursdays or Fridays. I don't know if he's going to have a set schedule or if he's just going to come in as he has free time. My schedule is set, though, every Tuesday at 5. And then Mondays at 5, don't forget I'm doing incarnate map making. So if you want to watch the maps come together for our tabletop setting, you can watch those live or tune in later after the fact over on YouTube. And of course, D&D every Sunday night here at 9 p.m. on Twitch. We are going through the Lost Mine of Fendelver with our group, and we will be doing additional stuff later on with everybody. And I think that's it for all of the streams. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., we are live for the stand up for the week. And if you're tuning into this and you're not sure who we are or what we are, I can go ahead and adjust the camera up a little bit now, except my hair is probably a mess, but I don't really care. And the lighting is going to be horrific. That looks kind of creepy. Woo! I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfail, and if you want to know more about The Weave and the Void, which is the world that we're building, you can head on over to our Patreon page. It is patreon.com/wandering hermits. You can find more information about us and all of the stuff we're doing. It's myself, my wife, Christina Barrios, and my brother, Joe Anderson. Chris is actually, if we turn the camera around, Chris is over there. You didn't know I was going to point the camera. She's like, no, I don't want to be on camera. So if you want to hang out with us and support and everything else, you can find everything over at the Patreon page, join our Discord, and I will catch everybody tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for the stand-up. In the meantime, thanks for following along. My first time painting miniatures in like 4 years. And I got to figure out lighting and other stuff before we get to the next one. And don't forget to follow along at TikTok because Christina will be painting this miniature. I'm going to get rid of this horrific light. Hold up 2 seconds. This will change briefly. Don't freak out. I got to change the exposure. There we go. That's a little better. Chris will be painting this miniature. This is a faceless wizard. I chose the skeleton one because it was a little more detailed, and I wanted to be the guinea pig. So that's what he looks like. Man, I don't have focus turned on in the webcam right now, so this is the guy we painted today. Um, looking pretty good so far. All right, thanks everybody. I'm out. Talk to you next time.